Your vote, shaping our future. From high-stakes local races to the presidency, coverage starts now. From KXAN, your local election headquarters.
Thanks so much for joining us here on KXAN News. We are going to dive into all of your results from the local level up to the presidential level. We, of course, want to start there with the results of the 2024 presidential election. I'm Avery Travis. Like we said, American voters have returned Donald Trump to the White House. The 45th president will take the oath of office in January as the nation's 47th president.
And thanks again for being with us. I'm Will Dupree. Trump won the battleground states that Joe Biden took in 2020. Trump won in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Here's the latest breakdown of the Electoral College votes. We have some updates now. Donald Trump is securing 292 Electoral College votes, well above the 270 needed to win the presidency. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris, her Electoral College support now stands at 224, with just a few states still too close to call.
We do want to bring in now NBC's Chris Pallone. He's going to give us some insight on the breakdown of this election.
Chris, thanks again for joining us here on KXAN News at noon. Give us an update about when we're expecting to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris today.
Yeah, Will and Avery, good to be with you again, of course. Yeah, the vice president, you'll remember last night, was having a watch party to watch the results come in on the campus of her alma mater, not far from where I am right now in Washington, D.C. at Howard University. That party got progressively more and more dour as the night went on and the results started coming in. And then after midnight, the campaign co-chair, Cedric Richmond, came out to tell the people gathered that the vice president would not be speaking to them and would be speaking today instead. We have now learned that Vice President Kamala Harris will address the nation and her supporters around 4 o'clock this afternoon. That will be a concession speech, and it will come after she reaches out to Donald Trump to congratulate him on his apparent victory here. We're also expecting to hear at some point today from President Biden, who also is expected to call Donald Trump to congratulate him, invite him to the White House as he begins his transition. And Biden has said that he will attend the inauguration, all of the same customs that were not offered to him when he won 4 years ago.
Chris, we of course heard from Donald Trump last night and from his running mate, Vance. Talk to us about what we heard in those speeches, and then pair that with a little bit of insight on what are the main issues we're hearing drove voters to cast their vote for him.
The data is absolutely fascinating. So a little bit of the color from last night. This happened around 2:30 Eastern time when the former and now president-elect came out to address his supporters. At the time, he claimed victory, but that really didn't happen until almost 5:30 Eastern time this morning, when NBC News projected that he would win Wisconsin. That put him over the 270 electoral vote threshold. Needless to say, he did claim victory. He thanked his family. You could tell he was soaking in it. You could tell he was even a little bit surprised when he first started his speech. He said, "Can you believe this?" or something like that, or "This really happened." And he invited several supporters up. I remember Dana White, the head of UFC, spoke for a little bit, and some of his campaign managers. His whole family was gathered there, and it was a loud and raucous crowd that enjoyed his speech as he talked about making Americans' lives better and potentially uniting the country. And so, like we said, the data is absolutely fascinating as people will be pouring into this for the next 4 years as they analyze his pretty decisive victory that happened here that really was not predicted in any way or form. And the first thing that we see is that in NBC News exit polling, the #1 issue that people voted on, they said, was the state of democracy. Now, you can read that either way you want, but #2 right behind it at 30% was the economy. And we've been hearing that for months now, that people have been concerned about rising prices, about inflation, which has come down, but they've been feeling it for quite some time since COVID hit. And, you know, anybody who's out there knows that their rent is higher, that car prices are higher, that the price of eggs is higher, and it looks like that was one of the key issues that really drove voters to the polls.
Very interesting to look deeper into those numbers, and of course we'll be reporting more about that. But for now, Chris Pallone there in D.C. for us. Thanks again for joining us.
Now, first warning weather with meteorologist Freddie Vela.
So we now take a look at the latest information that has come out. I did mention earlier that Hurricane Rafael could become a Category 3 hurricane, and that just happened. Here's the latest information that just released. Max winds currently at 115, moving northwest at around 14 miles per hour. It is now a major hurricane, so we'll continue to monitor that as it continues through Cuba and farther out into the Gulf of Mexico. Let's take a look at what we hit this morning, which is 48 degrees. The last time we were this low was back on April 4th. That was 216 days ago from the last time we were within this temperature range. It was a very, very chilly morning, and we're looking at clear skies to last with us throughout the day today. We'll be back up to about 79 degrees as a high, and it looks like that should remain with us through tomorrow as well, but a big change as we get into tomorrow. This is a live look out of our Georgetown camera with temperatures there at about 73 degrees, continuing to see the sunny skies overall. Austin at 73, San Marcos at 68, Fredericksburg at 76 degrees, and Bastrop at 77 degrees at this time. But I did mention that we could see chances of showers returning once again for tomorrow, and the possibility of some severe weather as well, including wind and hail. So we're going to be talking about that because it's not just tomorrow, it's also Friday as well, plus your weekend forecast. That's all coming up in your first warning weather.
Freddie, thanks so much. Turning now back to the election, Texas Senator Ted Cruz will return to Washington, and this time Republicans will be in control of the chamber.
Take a look at these numbers. Cruz won re-election by the latest numbers saying 9 points over Colin Allred. Keep in mind, Cruz won a second term in 2018 by just 2 points.
He will return to a Senate that will be controlled by the GOP. The Associated Press projects that his party will have 52 seats in the chamber come January, while the Democrats at this point have 41.
He celebrated his victory from his hometown of Houston, and that's where we want to get over to Ryan Chandler, who's joining us now.
And Ryan, we saw Cruz perform better than he did 6 years ago, growing his margin of support.
Well, you know, I just got off the phone with the chair of the Harris County Democratic Party. We're going to talk in depth later about what went so wrong for them here in Harris County, and he warned me ahead of time that it is not going to be fun. They didn't have any fun last night. It was just about 2 weeks ago when Kamala Harris held a roaring rally about a mile behind me. 30,000 people turned out for her and Colin Allred and Beyonce, Willie Nelson. That gave the sense that she has momentum and will help turn out a lot of Harris County Democratic voters here in the Democratic stronghold of Texas. And that just didn't happen. By the numbers, Harris won Harris County by 5 points. 4 years ago, Biden won here by 13 points. Senator Cruz lost here by 9 points. In 2018, he lost by 17 points. So the margins just are not in the Democrats' favor. They often rely on this area to drive up statewide turnout, and Harris County did not turn out for them. So we heard a little bit from Ted Cruz here in downtown Houston last night, where he extended a bit of an olive branch to Democrats who did not support him, but declared without any kind of uncertainty that this is a mandate for conservative governing.
You have my word that I will fight for you, for your jobs, for your safety, and for your constitutional rights. But tonight, the people of Texas have spoken. And their message rings clear as a bell across our great state. Texas will remain Texas.
And up in Dallas, Colin Allred used his concession speech to get one last jab in at Senator Cruz, essentially telling him, Senator, this is how you concede an election. Of course, alluding to Senator Cruz's involvement in helping former President Trump challenge the 2020 election results. But he said, keep the faith. This fight is not over. Let's listen.
This country is worth fighting for. Understand that. This state is worth fighting for. We are a great country. Nobody needs to make us great again.
Later today, as I said, we'll be hearing from the chair of the Harris County Democratic Party and the chair of the Republican Party here to get their full post-game analysis of what went so right for Republicans and wrong for Democrats. Avery, Will.
Ryan Chandler reporting in Houston for us. Thank you so much. We want to dig a little deeper with some more insight on that Republican majority in the Senate. Senator John Cornyn is hoping to succeed Mitch McConnell as Senate Majority Leader. It's one of the most powerful positions on Capitol Hill. South Dakota Republican John Thune is also running. Now, we spoke to Cornyn when he voted, and we asked him about that race for Majority Leader.
And I feel like I'm ready to assume those responsibilities. But in the end, it's not about me and it's not about the other candidate. It's about what our country needs. And our country needs to make some tough choices. And we're the ones that make those on behalf of our constituents. So I'm looking forward to it, but I understand the responsibility.
Cornyn said Republicans will meet to vote for their nominee for leader on November 13th, a little more than a week away. Upon news breaking of that majority win, Cornyn said in a statement, quote, "I look forward to working with President Trump and our new conservative majority to make America great again by making the Senate work again." We want to move from inside on the Senate over to the House. The balance of power in the House of Representatives is still up in the air.
Yeah, let's take a look at the results right now. The House Republicans are sitting at 201 seats with the Democrats at 182. We still do not know who will take the majority there, but we will be watching these results very closely in the hours and maybe even days ahead.
Some key races we were following when it comes to who controls the House. U.S. House District 34, Democratic Vicente Gonzalez beat out Republican Mayra Flores 51 to 49%. Now, this is a little south of Corpus Christi from Kingsville to east of McAllen. Turning now to U.S. House District 15, that has a Republican winner, Monica de la Cruz, beating out Michelle Vallejo 58 to 42%. That district from New Braunfels down to McAllen.
And back here closer to home in the District 37 race, Congressman Lloyd Doggett has won re-election, capturing about 74% of the vote. He's been in Congress since 1995.
In the District 35 race, Representative Greg Casar will keep his seat with about 67% of the vote. We caught up with him last night to talk about his main focus as he heads back to Washington. He says that is standing up against corporate interests and standing for progressive reforms.
So if somebody is willing to say, hey, let's work on the best way to provide a middle-class tax cut, let's work together on how we can make childcare more affordable, I'm willing to work with anyone on that. But if somebody says, hey, I want to give a tax break to my billionaire buddies, I think it's on us from Central Texas to say no. Though I think it's important for us to compromise to get things done, but not compromise our values.
Among the propositions that were on the ballot yesterday, Lockhart and Bastrop looked at decriminalizing marijuana. KXAN's Sarah Al-Sheikh follows the changes.
Voters in both Bastrop and Lockhart passed propositions decriminalizing marijuana possession of 4 ounces or less. This deprioritizes arrests and prosecution of low-level marijuana possession offenses in those cities. Bastrop and Lockhart aren't the first Central Texas cities to ease their marijuana laws. Austin and San Marcos approved similar measures in the past. The social justice organization Mano Amiga collected hundreds of signatures from city voters in order to get this on the ballot.
Something that's so valuable about this campaign is that it really shows people the tools that we have to have a say in how policies operate. And so my hope for this campaign is that it is an impetus for people to keep being involved and having a say in their communities.
Other results from Caldwell County, voters re-elected Mike Lane as the sheriff. Also, Caldwell County voters approved a $150 million transportation bond as well.
Help us accomplish some growth management that desperately needs to happen.
That would fund 22 projects focused on things like road construction and low water crossing replacements. Reporting in Caldwell County, Sarah Al-Sheikh, KXAN News.
Going in depth here, decriminalizing marijuana over the past few years is becoming a more prevalent issue for our local voters. Lockhart and Bastrop are not the first communities to put it on its ballot. Austin passed this back in 2022, as Sarah mentioned. San Marcos voted in favor of decriminalizing it that very same year. Other cities like Denton and Elgin also voted in favor of decriminalizing.
Now, first warning weather with meteorologist Freddie Vela.
Beautiful, clear, calm. Those are the three words I would describe for today weather-wise, because we just don't see very much picking up. Early this morning down into the upper 40s, this afternoon into the mid to upper 70s. All great conditions for us to enjoy the day. But zoom out a bit more for the rest of the state, and you're noticing where we're having some cloud coverage farther up towards the Panhandle. Meteorologist Tommy House and I were looking at some of the snowfall totals as you get farther out towards the west, getting into Albuquerque and farther out that way. Very interesting there. And then some rainfall out towards Louisiana, but the state itself still calm. The moisture will return for tomorrow. We'll start to see some thunderstorm activity, but for now, 76 in Fredericksburg, 75 in Llano, and 73 in Dripping Springs and Austin, 68 still in San Marcos, and we look out towards Flatonia at around 77 degrees. Now, your severe risk for tomorrow in that first category overall from the 1 to 5, which is the lowest category before just general thunderstorms. So what are we looking at for tomorrow? Well, wind and hail are possibilities, but the biggest thing is going to be the rainfall that we'll continue to see off and on. So we'll play this out. We start the clock off now and play this out throughout the rest of the day. No real big changes here. It's not until we get to overnight tonight that the clouds return and the rainfall returns once again. For your morning commute at around 6 a.m., even 5 a.m., we could see a few isolated showers starting off out towards the east and slowly making their way across the area. It's not until we get to the afternoon hours we're going to get those pockets of moderate to heavy showers, even the possibility of some thunderstorms within the area. But then Friday, just ahead of that next front coming in, that's when we expect for a majority of the next round of possible severe weather to pass through. Even as we get to about 10 p.m. on Friday, you're noticing that we still have that chance of a severe thunderstorm or two within the area. Get out towards Saturday. Behind that, just clearer skies. So rain coverage over the next 18 hours, as I just mentioned, you notice overnight from 12 to about 4, keeping it isolated, and then really starts to ramp up as we get to 6 a.m. So as you're dropping off the little ones for tomorrow, you'll notice that our temperatures are going to be at around 63, and by pickup, we're at around 79 degrees. Let's play it out on a different model. It's called our Euro model, and you're able to see where that front is and when it starts to arrive on Friday going into Saturday, and the clearer conditions behind that. But we do have that possibility of severe weather, especially for Thursday and Friday, keeping our temperatures at around 79 to 80. It starts to drop as we get into Saturday after the front comes in, and we warm up as we get to Veterans Day. Speaking of some cooler weather, let's go and send it over to Tommy House.
Hey, thanks, Freddie. Yeah, our first freeze in Austin is December 1st on average. I pulled some data from the past 5 years looking at temperatures and precip. This is our average mean temperature from December, January, and February at Camp Mabry in Austin. Our average is 53.97. 4 of the last 5 winters in Austin have been warmer than average. 3 out of the last 5 have been dry. Total precip on average 7.25 inches for those 3 months. Last winter 9.46 inches. The year before just under 5 there. So most of them have been dry over the last 5 years. Drier than normal trend as we transition into this La Nina pattern here. Higher confidence for drier weather and also warmer temperatures in Austin across the next 3 months.
We're still following all of your election results, and we want to turn now to some big ballot decisions across the country. Florida's 6-week abortion ban will remain in place. Voters in 6 other states approved measures to protect or to expand abortion rights. That ballot initiative we mentioned in Florida would have allowed an abortion up until 24 weeks, but it fell short of the 60% support needed in order to pass. In Arizona, voters passed an amendment to protect the right to abortion until 24 weeks, increasing it from the current 16 weeks. Montana voters approved a ballot measure to amend the state's constitution to include the right to an abortion. While a victory to advocates in reproductive rights in that western red state, the amendment will not change the current law on abortion in Montana, which makes abortion legal in the state until fetal viability at or around the 23rd or 24th week of pregnancy. But the amendment does establish a right for people to make and carry out their own decisions about their pregnancy, and it prevents the government from penalizing patients, healthcare providers, or anyone who assists in exercising a person's right to make and carry out voluntary decisions about their pregnancy. Going in depth for you here, Texas law as you may know, prohibits an abortion in nearly all cases, except for exceptions for rape or incest. Doctors may be punished for performing abortions with fines, the loss of their medical license, and even prison time. Doctors can only perform abortions if the patient has a life-threatening physical condition or if the pregnancy could kill them. The United States. Coming up, we're going to take an in-depth look at which states he won. Still to come here on KXAN News.
And the race for Austin's mayor is still ongoing as votes remain to be counted. Who's currently in the lead, though, and by how much? We'll tell you after this.
Your vote shaping our future. From high-stakes local races to the presidency. Coverage starts now. From KXAN, your local election headquarters.
American voters have returned Donald Trump to the White House. The 45th president will take the oath of office in January as the nation's now 47th president. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Avery Travis.
And I'm Will Dupree. Donald Trump won in battleground states that Joe Biden previously took back in 2020. Trump won in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. He now stands at 292 Electoral College votes. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris has captured 224. Still a few races to call there. You can see them in gray on your screen. This morning, leaders around the world posted congratulatory messages online as Donald Trump is set to become the 47th president of the United States.
Ukrainian President Zelensky said he appreciates Trump's commitment to peace through strength. As the Republican nominee prepares to take the White House, Zelensky posted on X, quote, "We look forward to an era of strong United States of America under President Trump's decisive leadership." We also heard from French President Emmanuel Macron, who posted his congratulations on X as well, saying, quote, "Ready to work together as we were able to do during 4 years with your convictions and mine in respect and ambition for more peace and prosperity."
Turning to the Texas Senate race now, Republican incumbent Ted Cruz will return to Washington, and this time Republicans will be in control of that chamber.
Cruz won re-election by about 9 points over Colin Allred. And keep in mind, and for some context here, Cruz won a second term back in 2018 by just 2 points.
With Cruz returning to the Senate, it will be controlled by the GOP, as we mentioned. The Associated Press is projecting that the Republicans will hold 52 of the seats there in the Senate, while the Democrats will have 41.
Now, we do want to get to some of your local election results, including who's going to win the mayoral vote for the city of Austin.
Right now, it's looking like incumbent Kirk Watson is still in the lead with about 50% of the vote. He did send out a statement earlier today on social media saying that his campaign is waiting for a few thousand provisional and mail-in ballots still to be counted. To avoid a runoff, though, a candidate here in Austin needs more than 50% of the vote. If there is a runoff, the contender would, for that second spot, would be Carmen Yanez-Polito. Now we want to take a look at the rest of the Austin City Council. Voters decided on 5 council positions last night, and there will be 3 new members sitting on the dais.
Dylan McKim is joining us now with the latest on those results. Dylan, what can you tell us about what this dais will look like now?
Yeah, a couple of incumbents were able to secure a win last night, but eventually the council will have 3 new faces. We know what 2 of them will look like, but we'll still have to wait to see who the third will be. That will come in December during a runoff. But let's start with those familiar faces you're going to see. Incumbent Vanessa Fuentes was victorious last night in her re-election to represent District 2. In a statement following her victory, she said she will continue to fight for good-paying jobs, complete and connected neighborhoods, and high-quality city services. Incumbent Chito Vela won District 4 with almost 11,000 votes. He will continue to represent Central Austin. Now, the only incumbent to lose last night came in District 6. Mackenzie Kelly lost to her opponent, Krista Lane. In a message on social media this morning, Kelly thanked everyone for their support and said she will continue to fight for the community. Over in District 10, here's one of the new faces, Mark Duchin. He won a very tight race. He beat his opponent, Ashika Gangley, by about 500 votes. He will represent West Austin. And here's what some of the winners had to say last night about what they plan to do in council.
Now that we've settled a lot of the major issues, I really want to dig deep into the details of the district, talk about speeding and transportation issues.
My primary motivation in running is to bring more effective city services to District 6, whether that means the lights staying on, maybe some repairs to the water mains, that sort of thing. 911 response times have been a consistent issue.
More public safety, that's been the #1 issue in this campaign. It's going to involve listening to neighborhoods and homeowners and businesses for land use issues. It's going to involve making sure that we are protecting our green spaces.
Okay, now our attention turns to District 7. This was the most congested race with 6 candidates vying for that spot. It will head to a runoff between Mike Siegel and Gary Bledsoe. Siegel, as you can see on that graphic there, he's the front runner. He captured almost 40% of the vote last night. Bledsoe came in second with almost 20% of that vote. And this runoff election will be held on December 14th. Dylan McKim, KXAN News.
First warning weather with meteorologist Freddie Vela.
We continue to track the clear skies across Central Texas at this time. I don't anticipate any cloud coverage. In fact, this is what it looks like out of our Whittlesey Landscape Supplies camera in Granite Shoals. Beautiful sunny skies that will continue throughout the afternoon, with temperatures right now still sitting at 73 degrees in Austin, 68 in San Marcos, Fredericksburg at 76, Georgetown at 73, and Bastrop currently sitting at 78 degrees. We really don't see the clouds returning once again until we get to the overnight hours. Thursday, 79 degrees, Friday, 80 degrees. So while we only go up by a degree or two, and that's pretty much it, we do anticipate for a lot of rainfall to start moving through once again Thursday and Friday. That moisture flowing back in just ahead of that next front. We'll start to see some of the severe weather pick up for Saturday. 74 degrees, a bit of a drop there as the front does come through. So will it affect your high school football? Unfortunately, the word is yes. But of course, you can catch it live on KBVO. Kickoff at 71 degrees for the halftime, 70 degrees, and for the fourth quarter, 69 degrees as Georgetown takes on Cedar Park. I won't say it's a complete washout, but we will have isolated showers overall. So coming up in your first warning weather, we'll talk a bit more about the rainfall. We'll take a deeper dive into the tropics and what's happening with now major Category 3 Hurricane Rafael, and what else to expect as we go through next week.
Freddie, thank you so much for tracking that for us. We want to get back to some of your election results, and that includes the Travis County District Attorney race. Incumbent District Attorney Jose Garza defeated his Republican challenger Daniel Betts 68 to 32%. We spoke with him just moments after the race was called last night. He said the support from voters in Travis County really reaffirms the work that his office is doing to try and reform the criminal justice system with programs targeting diversion and prevention. He says he also, of course, wants to continue to target the root causes of crime. Now, over the last 4 years, he's faced some pushback from critics and even an ongoing legal effort to try to remove him from the office under a state law that allows for the removal of elected district attorneys. We asked him about some of that criticism and really about his goals for the next 4 years. Take a listen.
I care most about this community, and this community has said decisively over and over again that this is the path that they want us to take, that they want us to address the root causes of crime in our community. They want us to hold people accountable who commit acts of violence, and they want us to build a criminal justice system that's fair for everyone.
Mr. Garza reiterated last night he wants to keep working to center victims of crime. He also noted he believes a reformed system will make Travis County safer for everyone.
Voters here in Travis County also approved Proposition A, which would create some affordable child care options for our area. It comes with a 2.5-cent property tax rate increase. Travis County voted in favor for this proposition. There you see the vote split, 59 in support, while 41% opposed it. In a proposition vote for the Travis County Emergency Services District 2 up in Pflugerville, 68% are against getting rid of a sales tax. That means keeping the money that helps pay for the Pflugerville Fire Department. As you can see, 32% are for the measure to get rid of that sales tax. Nick Perkins, the fire chief for Travis County ESD number 2, said this in a statement today, quote, "This is a victory for all of the Pflugerville area. It means that our firefighters and paramedics can continue to deliver the life-saving services this community relies on without interruption." He went on to say, "We take pride in serving our neighbors, and today's result reaffirms the trust our residents have placed in us to keep them safe." Voters approved a $400 million bond to improve transportation infrastructure as well as road improvements in Hays County. This is in one of the fastest growing and developing counties in Central Texas with its closeness to the I-35 corridor. That measure passed with 56% of voters supporting the proposition and 44% voting against it.
We want to turn now to the Austin Independent School District as voters approved a tax rate increase to provide millions for the district to use for pay raises and savings.
The Austin ISD Prop A passed by 16 points, or about 49,000 votes. KXAN's Kelly Wiley tells us about the impacts.
All in all, this tax rate increase will bring in $171 million. The district will hold on to $41 million of that, but the majority will go back to the state. Still, district leaders are saying this is a huge relief as they prepare for deep cuts coming up to handle and tackle this deficit. They're also saying they're feeling great happiness for the teachers, the majority of which are going to see increases on their paychecks as early as before the end of the year.
What's going to happen is in the December paycheck, before they go to winter break, they'll be paid for all the time back from the beginning of the fiscal year, which is really July 1. So all of that will come forward, which is incredible, right before the holiday break. Our teachers, our staff deserve it so much. We work so hard. Our boards work so hard. I just am so excited that our community showed up for our teachers.
This gives us a little wiggle room, a little breathing room to ensure that the things that we care about the most are going to be preserved.
But there's still a difficult financial road ahead for Austin ISD despite Prop 8 passing. The district is still looking at making around $90 million in budget cuts over the next 2 to 3 years. And the board president told us that really, if it's not legally required by the state, everything else is on the table with what they're looking at for budget cuts. And the district hopes to make recommendations to the board around what those budget cuts will look like ahead of the holidays. In Austin, Kelly Wiley, KXAN News.
Investigator Kelly Wiley following that closely for us. Thank you. In more education news, Round Rock ISD leaders are talking about the results of their bond election. Voters approved Prop A there by 24 points, and that would direct around $800 million towards the construction, expansion, and rehabilitation of school buildings. Round Rock voters also approved Prop B, this time by a margin of 18 points. That would use $125 million to upgrade and improve technology systems and equipment.
Meanwhile, Round Rock ISD's Prop C passed by 10 percentage points. This includes almost $9 million to construct and better equipped performing arts facilities. However, Round Rock voters decided to reject Prop D by a 14-point margin. It would have used almost $66 million for the construction, renovation, and expansion of athletic stadium facilities. All 4 of these propositions would have cost a total of nearly $1 billion. This afternoon, we wanted to pass along an update about the Hudson fire burning in Bastrop. The Office of Emergency Management there for that county says the fire is 90% contained. The fire is currently at about 400 acres in size, where officials say it has remained since overnight. Crews are still monitoring the containment lines. Residents can expect to see some smoke near the fire, especially in some of the low-lying areas there. At the moment, roads are back open again, and residents have been allowed to go back to their homes after facing some evacuations earlier. However, officials have asked for people to stay away from the Park Road 1C and Cottletown area, as the fire trucks will still be present there.
A canine group in Florida has won 2 back-to-back competitions in southeastern states manhunt trials.
And as Heather Baisley reports, the canines' primary training is to help keep the community safe.
The Northwest Florida Reception Center took 2 trophies home after winning not only in the southeastern states manhunt trials, but also took first place overall in the statewide Florida Department of Corrections 2024 canine tracking event in Brooksville.
Well, that is the top goal, to be the best in the state. I mean, there ain't anything better than that. The best in the state. I think what makes us different is the chemistry and really the experience of our team.
Both training events focus on tracking human scent, conditioning for rough terrain, firearms proficiency, and distance progression. On average, the Northwest Florida Reception Center receives around 2 calls for assistance a month.
We get called out fairly regularly to assist local law enforcement agencies with the city, the county, state, including FWC, and to help them apprehend felons that are fleeing from them. And a lot of those calls are the missing children, the missing elderly people, which is actually the most rewarding calls, in my opinion.
There are 39 Department of Corrections canine tracking teams throughout the state. The North Florida Reception Center's 5 trainers have 9 dogs. They prepare year-round and are always on call, ready at a moment's notice.
And oftentimes we don't know what they have when we're chasing them. And when you really think about it, he knows what track he's led, and he knows where we're coming because we're going to follow his track. So tactically, he's got the advantage.
I can barely get my dog out of bed. Satellite and radar at this time, we're able to see clear skies across the area. That should continue throughout the rest of the day today. Current temperatures right now 73 degrees with winds coming in at around 5 miles per hour. Throughout the rest of the day, I don't expect to see very much at all. It's not until we get to tonight into tomorrow where some of those clouds start to roll back in. Chance of rain picking up as we get to about 6 a.m. And then heavier showers by the afternoon. 5:30, 6 o'clock. Could see some moderate to heavier showers. Friday, another round of possible severe weather continuing. Overall, strong winds is a possibility. Hail, that's also a possibility as we get to about 10 p.m. You're noticing some of the heavier showers coming through Bastrop, Giddings, and Rockdale, but pretty much anyone could see that. So just keep an eye on it overall with temperatures tonight 61 degrees. 10% chance of rain tomorrow. A better chance of seeing some heavier storms or heavier showers and thunderstorms pick up. 70% chance there. And the temperature's hitting 79. So the rain coverage will continue Thursday into Friday. And it's all thanks to what's happening just ahead of this front that's going to be coming in. You're noticing with our Euro model, by Friday, 8 p.m., that's where we could see the biggest chance of some severe weather. The front comes in, drier air filters through, could still see about a 10% chance of maybe a shower or two for Saturday. But the amount of rainfall, depending on if you get some of the heavier rainfall overall, up to an inch and a half. But we saw that a couple of days ago where if that pocket of heavy showers just sits on you, you could see over 4 inches of rain, which we saw in some parts. Hurricane Rafael, noticing it's still now a Category 3 hurricane moving into the Gulf of Mexico, should lose some steam, becoming a tropical storm, but we'll watch to see what happens as it starts to get out farther through Monday. In fact, speaking of Monday, 80 degrees for Veterans Day with partly cloudy skies. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast, keeping us with the rain chances through Thursday and Friday. 74 as we get into Saturday, 79 on Sunday, and then 81 degrees on Monday. By the way, First Weather University today, the number of tropical storms that we could actually see overall, well, it's only about a 10% of our actual season itself. 14 tropical systems on record for November, with 4 making landfalls as hurricanes. Let's go and send it over to Tommy House with the amount of rain we received.
Yeah, thanks, Freddie. We know 2 days ago we had that strong cold front with some strong to even severe storms move through. You mentioned in Bastrop County, we had multiple inches of rain recorded there. This is radar estimates going back 48 hours. So from Monday around 12:30 to today, about 2 to 3 inches in the Austin metro area west of Burnett toward Llano, San Saba, and Mason. Those numbers go down to 0. East of I-35, we saw a good amount of rain 3 days so far this month at Camp Mabry of rainfall being measured, which is great news. We are in a extreme drought for most of Travis and Hayes County. Rainfall almanac compared to the year, we're still about 4.38 inches below where we should be, but overall, looking at November standards, we're up almost 1.5 inches. Now 73.65% of us in Texas as a whole are currently under a drought. The next update comes out tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. We're hoping that number goes down.
If you're in need of a bit of a breather after election night, we've got the perfect story for you. A dog that has been working at a children's hospital since 2019 recently celebrated his 8th birthday in style. Children's Memorial Hermann Hospital, it's in Houston, shared this heart-melting video of Dexter, a Labrador golden retriever, wearing his party hat and being serenaded by a group of young patients. He was also gifted some birthday toys and, of course, got many birthday hugs from patients and staff alike.
I'm just impressed he kept that hat on, because our dog would never wear any of those clothes. It's amazing.
Oh, happy birthday, so Dexter.
And what he does with all the patients there, incredible. Yeah.
Do you guys celebrate your animals' birthdays?
In the past, yes, but it has been a while. Yeah. All right, everybody, we hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Take care of yourselves out there. We will see you back here in about 30 minutes with more news and weather updates. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.